The soft drink companies, they have their factories in very remote areas, and there is a lack of water there. But they have to use, maybe 5 liters or 10 liters of water to produce 1 liter of the soft drink. So there have been
Yes.
cases on those companies also. We can talk of those.
But there is lack of water, so what is the problem?
There is
Acha,
lack
so
of
the
water,
people are
and they
not
are
getting
drawing.
it for consumption. Got it.
People are not getting water, and they are wasting water, no, in making the soft
Yeah, yeah,
drink. And it is not for the locals because they can't afford it in any case.
yeah.
So a lot of cases like that. Then there are cases against the best of companies also as far as environment is concerned, because some something wrong with the environment will happen with any factory. The idea is to minimize the loss, minimize the destruction of the environment. Then carbon norms and all that has to be followed. So you can talk about all these things.
Okay. And for
Okay,
social thing, we can appreciate Tata also, no? It has done like setting up hospitals in remote areas and all of those. So socially, Tata has always been responsible only to some extent.
I don't know about remote areas, but most of the companies which have factories in remote areas, they have hospitals built for the employees, and then they allow the locals also to access those hospitals. Like Tata has a
But
very
it is sorry,
like
sir.
Tata has a very good hospital in Jamshedpur. That's better than most of the big hospitals in most of the big cities. So in most of the industrialized colonies, you will get good hospitals. Schools also. Some of the best schools are in the industrial townships of India, from where every year, out of 400, 500 families, every year 3, 4 IITians, 3, 4 doctors, 3, 4 chartered accountants, 1 or 2 IAS officers, they will come out. So that is also kind of um, social impact that they are having. What else?
Like, so we can give examples about how the workers in factories are treated. Like, say, for example, countries like China,
Mm.
like the
Yes,
conditions for these workers are not that good, and they are forced to actually work overtime. And
yes, you can give
that,
the example of China, you can give the example of Dubai, and actually, WTO is not being discussed too much nowadays, but when it used to be discussed a lot in, from 2000 onwards till around 6, 7 years ago. So the Western world tried to impose a lot of restrictions on import of goods from the developing world, saying that children were employed, carbon emission norms were not being met, and women employees were paid less than the male counterpart. So they said based on all these things, we will stop imports from these developing countries, including India. And so the developing world understood that it is basically a ploy so that they cannot export and they have to buy from the already developed countries. So these developed countries had already done all these things before they became developed. Even now, there is a lot of income disparity between men and women in US or Europe. So they had already done that. The disparity was more earlier, probably. So they had employed children. They had destroyed the environment. It is only now in the last 2, 3 decades that they have become environmentally conscious and things like that. So those those norms were not accepted by the developing countries. Okay,
Okay, so
now, so you can talk about these things. Anything else?
and so one more thing, like governance does not necessarily have to do with regulations. Like, it can also include other situations that are within the norms. Like, suppose the chairman is the CEO, then for in that situation, like when you're analyzing a company, it may not portray a good picture. So, but that is just for additional
Yes,
information.
that
Is
is
something.
why, yeah, that is why nowadays you are having independent directors and their roles and responsibilities are being increased. Earlier the nominee directors from banks or LIC in the different companies board, they just used to attend the meeting, sign, and uh, get the payment for attending the meetings. But now I think Companies Act is making changes so that independent directors who have no other interests than looking that all these norms are being followed by the company, they are paid highly, but they are also culpable if the company is doing anything wrong. I think that is what you're saying, right?
Yes, sir. Like I was trying to make the point that governance does not necessarily have to do with regulations as such. Like obviously that's a big part, but apart from that, there are other considerations which goes into it.
Yeah, we can talk of the things that Ashneer Grover did in his company, no?
Yes.
Taking out funds, I mean, allegedly taking out funds for his big cars and his dining table and what. Those are also governance issues.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you're
Like
saying, right?
yeah, and maybe giving contract to like I am not so sure if that was the case. Like to some relatives.
Yeah, giving the contracts to relatives, or like what is happening in South Point School now, na? That is what you're saying, right?
I'm not so sure
One of
about
the
the South Point one. Like
one of the trustees of South Point School, no, he's a well-known person in the Calcutta business circle. He has been arrested because he was siphoning off a lot of funds. He siphoned off around 20 crores from the funds of South Point School in the last so many years. And he gave the contract to his family members and all that. So that kind of governance issue is there. Like basically what happened in Satyam Computers. So role of auditors is also going to become critical because one very major issue with audit is that the auditors are paid by the company that they are auditing. So if the company is a thief and the thief is paying the police or the thief is paying the enforcement directorate to investigate himself, but the ED's money is coming from the thief only, then how will the ED arrest him? That's the conundrum which the CA Institute has to solve someday, right?
Yes, sir.
What else? Okay, then let's meet tomorrow at 9 again. Good night.
So,
okay, sir.
Yeah, Mansi.
so if the topic is water scarcity, like it's a very general topic, so
Hmm.
I can include anything and everything for that, no?
What do you exactly mean by anything and everything?
मतलब कि everything from rural, urban, India, globally, how
Yeah,
companies are exploiting water and
every and pollution and water level going down
yes,
and concretization, deforestation, everything is
yes,
part of that. Yes,
yes, and how Kolkata maybe they are filling out wetlands, which is very important for the climate. So that is also
yes.
some point pollution.
Environment for water issue or uh, anything to do with environment, every development that takes place will have some repercussion for the environment. That is why that ESG thing is there.
Okay. So I can include this point, no, ECG for water scarcity topic.
Yeah.
And sir, there was a topic my cousin told me interest rates. So that basically talks about banks, no? RBI and the bank's interest rates that
Yes, CRR, SLR, bank rate,
so
then lending
so
rate, every
it
interest rate,
it came as a VAT topic. So I'll just explain all these rates and whatever the current rate is for the
and what
country
are
right
the
now.
implications? What are the implications of changing them?
Yeah, so if they're higher, then the inflation will increase or decrease and that way, right? Okay, so
चलो okay, thank you very much. Good night.
good night, sir.
Good night, sir.